Welcome back. This morning, we're excited to have our very first in-person guest here on CT21. It is Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal. He's joining us here in Studio A. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We've been on since February, our first guest who's not on Zoom.
I am so honored. Thank you.
I want to ask you, Senator, about this big infrastructure bill that passed. We've all seen the headlines, over $1 trillion, which is, I think, a number that the average Joe at home probably can't even wrap his head around how big that is. If I'm just Joe taxpayer here in Connecticut, why do I care?
You care because you know that you need to get to work faster. You want to ride the trains more reliably, quicker. You care because those bridges, some of them are in such disrepair, they may fall down, like the Mianus River Bridge. You care because Long Island Sound is a pristine, great natural resource that you enjoy on weekends or whenever you can. And you care because we have a compact. As Americans, we make America better. We leave it better for the generation that follows us. And that's part of the deal. And we're going to fulfill that obligation with this plan. For too long, those roads have been decaying and degrading. And we can't compete in the world economy if our roads are filled with potholes, if our families lack connection to the internet, and if we as a nation fail to invest, really it's an investment in that physical asset pool.
Now, you and I have talked many times in the last few years about the partisan rancor that seems to have taken over Washington. This was a bill that passed with bipartisan support, although there were some Republicans who said it was just too expensive for them to possibly support. Do you think the fact that there was some bipartisan support is a big deal?
I think it's a very big deal, because it really reflects a commitment to invest in the future. You know, you care, and every American should care about roads and bridges and rail and ports and airports. They're not blue or red. They are American, and that's what the best, which I think was elicited by this program, reflects in the commitment. And it is a lot of money, but a lot of it's coming to Connecticut. $3.5 billion for our roads, $561 billion for our bridges, more than $1 billion for the kinds of internet that we need around the country, and a lot of it coming to Connecticut. And then rail, $30 billion for the Northeast corridors. These numbers are mind-boggling, and as you said, tough to wrap your head around, but Connecticut will get its fair share. And we'll pay less to maintain our cars, to repair them, because there'll be fewer potholes and other impediments in the road.
Now, in the process before this was passed, you and Senator Murphy as well said the initial plan was good but not good enough. Did we get to a point where it is good enough, or we got to something that could pass, or where do we stand on that?
This step is a once-in-a-generation, the biggest since the New Deal probably in a century or more. And so we got higher, we did better. Still, we need to do more. For example, on rail, $30 billion will help to repair and upgrade and modernize, but we need high-speed rail. We need to invest in it and make it happen. And that will be the next package, I hope. That next package will focus on the human assets. You know, moms and dads need roads to get to work, but if their child doesn't have daycare, they can't re-enter the workforce. Seniors need hearing aids, dental care, and eyeglasses. They should have it free through Medicare. For the skills that we need to build those roads and bridges and manufacture in Connecticut, the submarines and F-35s and other national defense, we need welders, electricians, pipe fitters. They need to be trained, and we need to make community college free for them. So there is an investment in the human assets, plus climate change. You know, I was just down on Long Island Sound. We're getting $100 million for the Long Island Sound assets, but we need to invest in electric vehicles. We need to make sure that we are fighting climate change as a nation.
So those are some of the things that you would have loved to have seen in this bill, but maybe it doesn't get out of the Senate if it has those things. Is that kind of where we stood, and so you'll take that up separately?
The bill probably wouldn't have gotten out of the Senate on a bipartisan basis. So we're going to do it as Democrats. We passed a resolution, a budget resolution, which provides a framework. We're going to come back in September, having worked all during August on specific numbers that matter to Connecticut as well as the nation. And then we're going to do what's called budget reconciliation, which we can do with 51 votes. We don't need 60 votes. And that's a multi-trillion-dollar package which will be largely paid for by making sure wealthy people pay their fair share and corporations pay their taxes. You know, one of the myths in this country is that corporations are paying taxes. A lot of them are not. As you know, they find loopholes and gaps and they move intellectual property abroad. As a lawyer, I know well all the gimmicks, and you too as a lawyer. And we need to make sure they pay their fair share too.
Now, the criticism from Republicans is this is so expensive and we're saddling the next generation with this debt. How do you respond to that?
First of all, the debt coming out of these programs is going to be minimal because we're going to largely pay for them. The first package, the trillion-dollar package that we just finally approved, bipartisan, is largely paid for without any debt. But the next one will be paid for by making sure that the wealthy pay their fair share and corporations pay a tax. It's going to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. It's going to impose taxes on cryptocurrency, make sure that taxes are enforced. There's a lot of non-enforcement. But here is the major point to keep in mind, Eric. When you buy a house, or when a manufacturer builds a new addition to the plant, or buys, you know, expensive equipment, and that's what's happening in Connecticut, they are investing. And they're undertaking a debt that will more than pay for itself. That's the way to view this infrastructure investment. When we educate young people to become electricians and welders and pipe fitters to make our national defense equipment and enter good careers and good jobs, they're going to be paying taxes. We're going to make more as a government because we invest in them. Same thing with daycare, with seniors, with a lot of the human needs that we have. Investment in skill training is so important. We don't have oil wells in Connecticut. We don't have gold mines. What we have is really smart, talented people, a great workforce. And that's what we need to invest in here. That's what the nation really needs to invest in.
All right, we're just about out of time, but we expect the House to take this up in the fall, along with the budget implementer bill, so we'll be watching for that as we go forward.
Exactly.
Senator Richard Blumenthal, thank you for being our first in-studio guest, giving an update from Washington. Hopefully we'll be back here in studio again.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Coming up, she's played basketball, she's coached basketball, and she's now the president of a basketball operation. Oh, and she just won a gold medal. Jennifer Rosati is in our Sunday Spotlight. She's joining us next.